you think that clients nowadays, do they really want the best suit? Like, as in technically, specification wise, do they want the best suit, or do they really want something beyond the suit? Do they want to enter the creative room or the
It's that
creative?
blend, isn't it? It's that blend. Yeah, that if the garment's shit, they're not going to return. That's clear.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you need to be producing something reasonably acceptable. Um, and as I pointed out, as an individual, sometimes it's easier to do that. Um, but but yeah, there's I don't know if you. I mean, we were speaking about it, and I'm sure you're going to encounter more and more of it. But there's a lot of just building relationships and like having
Hmm.
charms, and it no longer becomes about the garment, but becomes about having friends who you happen to be
Hmm.
making for, who you
Hmm.
enjoy making for, and who enjoy being in your company, and great benefit to them.
Hmm.
They get to wear your clothes at a cost. Obviously, they need to support you.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But it becomes it becomes a lovely sort of nurtured relationship, a friendship.
Hmm.
It really is. Or at
Hmm.
least it has been in cases that I've encountered over the past 3 years.
Would you say that? And I know this may seem like obvious, but it's not always obvious, and I'd like to know your opinion. Would you say that when the relation between the tailor and the client strengthens and they meet each other more frequently, that the quality of the garment made
Yeah,
improves as well?
yeah, drastically.
Tell me more, and I'm curious what you're going to say. What I would say to that was yes, in the sense that the tailor would be able to help the client to make decisions maybe better, or suggest things that are more in line with their philosophy and their way of living and their world. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, if the tailor doesn't have the ability and the tools and the vision to improve technically, then your client can place 70 orders and you can talk to them every day 24/7, but it wouldn't necessarily improve. So how would you look at this thing?
Look at it. I mean, to draw a weird analogy, when you're cooking for your mum, you're always trying
Mm-hmm.
to do a lot better than when you're cooking for a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, the same applies to sort of making garments. If the person that you're making for
Mm-hmm.
um, has a more important place in your everyday,
Mm-hmm.
um, then there's a lot more willingness to go further,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that balance sways more towards the garment.
Mm-hmm.
If the person in front of you is basically anonymous, um, there's little incentive to do more than the balance that you had initially set out in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's why.
Now I have a question.
Mm,
My I First of all, I completely agree with you. It's always good to have someone who you want to prove yourself for, and you want to kind of like outperform, and show them that the appreciation you have for them, that they have
mm.
chosen you. That's very important, and I think yeah, that's the big challenge. Like, will I be letting this person down? Yes or no? Will they return? Will it create a bad reputation for me, a good reputation?
It's not even your
Now,
own reputation. It's just, yeah. Anyway, in my sense, yeah, a lot of
yeah, yeah,
integrity.
but
Yeah. Anyway,
something as well as I do. Not every tailor thinks like that, and there are sometimes clients. And no, I don't want to be bitchy about it. I just want to explore an idea. I want to explore an idea. Some tailors have returning clients who and they take them for granted. They say, "Oh, this person, they order like 70 things per year. They wouldn't notice that this is slightly off or that is slightly off." So, in that scenario, I feel like maybe they stop actually wanting to prove themselves because they are like, this person is now a client forever or whatsoever. What do you think about that? Do you think that's because that's just something like an attitude the tailor has, or is that something that we could all be prone to as tailors?
it comes back to that initial discussion we were having about balance and where that lies. And if they're ordering, as you say, 70 garments a year, well, they're there because they're able to order 70 garments a year, and it's unlikely that they would be able to do it somewhere else. So I'm sure if in this instance, or I mean, you could draw up any other, but there's a reason why someone sticks, and that's because they're happy with the balance, and there are benefits from the drawbacks that the garment incurs, and those could be price benefits, or those could be time benefits, and those are just as important to consider as any others. Coming back to that, you take ages to make a garment for good reason, and the people who come to buy from you know that it's going to take them ages, and if they start pushing you for time, you're going to go no, right? Well, if it just so happens that the person who was ordering from you at that point said, well, hang on, Reza, I want to order a couple more this year, and you're not going to be able to fulfill those orders, so maybe I should start looking elsewhere, then you'd be perfectly accepting of that comment and say, yeah, sure, let me recommend you someone, right? So the notion that it needs to rely solely on the notion that the value of a tailoring house relies solely on the garments that they're putting out, I think is slightly erroneous. That people shop for more reasons than just the quality of a coat. That being said, we wouldn't, but some would.
Yeah.
We'd rather sacrifice time and money at whatever expense to get the best that we can. Some would rather get more than one garment, and which is perfectly acceptable reason for not shopping with someone like you.
Well, I guess that comes back to the conundrum of the clash of the businessman and the artisan personalities, and how you balance it out, just like you say.